If you want to see amazing and exciting duels, informative and entertaining top 10 lists, and everything else that's just great about the game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, you gotta watch the Capital G Show. Shout outs to my homeboy Dante. Hey. What's up YouTube, Capital G here. We're looking at another new card from Dimension of Chaos, and this is the Legendary Fisherman 3. As soon as I heard the name Legendary Fisherman, I had all of these awesome nostalgic feelings just kind of stirring up in me, because for those of you who don't know, the original Legendary Fisherman came out all the way back in Pharaoh Servant, and I started playing the game during the Magic Ruler kind of era, and that was like right before Pharaoh Servant. And when I saw this card originally, like I was like, I have to get this card. It looks so cool. The artwork was awesome. It was an ultra rare, which I've always loved. The green background looked really cool as it was shiny, and plus it was played in the anime. Mako Tsunami used it. Joey then inherited the card. He inherited the card after a duel against Mako that he won in Battle City, and the card was really powerful if you could get on board. It was a tribute summon, so it wasn't the most practical thing to summon, but if you got this in Umi on the field, your opponent couldn't use spell cards on it, and which, like back in the day, that was really important because things like Mirror Force were restricted to one, and there was no torrential tribute. So usually the way to get monsters off the board was either to run them over or to use spells. Like traps weren't really killing monsters back then, and if you couldn't use Regeki, Dark Hole, Tribute to the Doom was kind of powerful back then, because Tribute to the Doom could destroy flip effects, things like something that like Fissure couldn't do. Fissure was also popular, but none of those cards could kill this card. And originally Legendary Fisherman used to say that your opponent could not attack this card, which meant that, like when it was first released, people were like, well, what if you have Umi and a Legendary Fisherman? You just can't attack them. And then they had to re-rule it. You could attack their life points directly, which is why this has got the errata attacks or whatever. But then when a Legendary Ocean came out, and it had the cool hand effect that made it so that you could just normal summon a Legendary Fisherman, and you got what's it called? No, you never get the attack gain because it's unaffected by spells. But it made the card a lot easier to get on the field. But the problem was, at that point, like the game had kind of passed this card by. So it's really cool to see that they're going to release another version of this card, or especially a version that works with the other one. Now, I don't know if they're going to make any more support, but this card is so awesome. Like, after I read its effect, I was like, I want to build a deck around this, not even knowing if they're going to get any other cards. But if they do get any other cards, like, that would be really cool if they like turned this into maybe just a small archetype, you know what I mean? Anyways, this is the Legendary Fisherman 3, the Japanese name Densetsu no Fisherman Sensei. That is so freaking Japanese. It's a water warrior monster. It has the Stardust stats, even though it's level 7. 2500 attack, 2000 defense. The effect reads, cannot be normal summon / set, must be first special summon from your hand by attributing one Legendary Fisherman, and cannot be special summoned by any other way. So you basically have to get Legendary Fisherman out, and then you have to just tribute it to the graveyard, and then you could special summon it. It's cool because it doesn't count as your normal summon. It counts still as a special summon, even though it does require a tribute. So you still have your normal summon for that turn. And if it does die, Legendary Fisherman 3, and it goes to the graveyard, you can't special summon it back, even though it was already properly summoned through its effect, because it does say cannot be special summoned by any other ways. Let's continue with effect number 1. When this card is special summoned, you can banish all monsters your opponent controls. This card cannot attack during this turn. I think that that's really, really, really powerful and practical. I know that not being able to attack is kind of like, that kind of sucks, but let's be real. You get to banish all monsters your opponent controls. Like, that's insane. Not just special summon monsters, not just face up monsters, not just monsters that are, like a certain level. You get all monsters. Like, that's incredible. I mean, you can't really capitalize off of an empty field, but like, I don't care. The fact that I get to just nuke your board completely, or nuke all your monsters, like, I'll take that any day of the week. Effect number 2, cannot be destroyed by battle or effect, and is unaffected by spells and traps. This is where this card starts getting really interesting. So it's gonna be pretty hard to actually destroy this card. I'm not really seeing many ways, to be honest. You can't use traps on it. You can't use spells at all, and then it can't be destroyed by effects or battle. Like, the only way that I see practically getting this card off the board is, like, you have to target it, you have to spin it, you have to like banish it or something like that. So evac is at 3 in the OCG, so it might not be that great there, but with evac only at 1 in the TCG, I think that this card could realistically survive a ton. You know what I mean? Evac device, dimensional prison, Castel. Those are the quick ways that are coming to my mind. Trishula, but if you can kind of stop like maybe 3 or 4 cards in your opponent's deck, they're just not going to be able to kill this card. And then the last effect, and this one is really good because I think it kind of mitigates the drawback of the first one. Once per turn, you can return as many cards or as many of your opponent's banished cards to their graveyard as possible. If you do one time for the rest of this turn, double the battle damage or effect damage your opponent would take. This is insane to me because not only does it take absolutely no resources from you, but it doesn't just work with this card. So let's say this card would attack directly. All right, well, you're doing 5,000 damage, but if you have any other monsters, like, you know, just random shit, like they all do double damage too. And it doesn't just work with battle damage, it works with like burn damage too. So, you know, I'm trying to think of a way to do burn damage on your opponent's turn. I don't know, play Okazi or some shit like that. Then main phase 2. The point is the fact that they take double damage from all types of damage is insane, and it's not even just linked with this monster, it's all monsters. So I'm looking at this card and I'm like, it looks damn hard to get it off the field. I know people can be like, oh Cap, you can just Castel it. Like, okay, well, if you're only out in your entire deck is Castel, then like have fun with this shit. If you only have Castel and Evac and like no other ways in your entire deck to get rid of this card. If I'm looking at Necros, you have Castel and Trishula. Like, that's pretty much the only 2 outs in your entire deck to this card, because I can't really think of any others. You know what I mean? If I only have to worry about 2 cards, then hello Effect Veiler. You know what I mean? So this card looks really cool. I know the biggest problem is going to be how to get Legendary Fisherman on the field. Again, you obviously have a Legendary Ocean. You can just normal summon it. You have cards like Reasoning. Although if they're smart, I guess they would just call 5. You know what I mean? But in all, this card looks really, really good. And I hope that means that they're going to be releasing more support for like a Legendary Fisherman, even though it's not an archetype. Or I just hope that means that they're going to give more support to like older cards, because this was an iconic card for a short portion of time in the life of Yu-Gi-Oh! So let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching as always.